One of my biggest youth ministry fails was when I borrowed a bus from another church and didn't know it was too tall to go under the church's overhang. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Youth Group Chronicles. Joining me here again on the show, I have Jaylun Smolin.
Yo.
Welcome back, bro.
Thank you, sir.
Was there anything that stuck out to you, like, story-wise? I always like to ask, like, what one was like, oh, that was a doozy?
For sure, the toe and the escalator. That was one. And then also the dog poop. That was pretty good. That was smart. So I like both of those.
So definitely go back and check those out if you haven't listened to them yet. Some good stuff from those.
Meat grinder. That's all you need
the meat
to know.
grinder. Yep. That's all. That's where we're going to leave it. You have to go listen for yourself. So again, we have a lot of email submissions starting to come in for the show. I'm getting a bunch of them every single week. So we'll knock some of those out. And if you have stories that you want to share, please send them to ygchronicles@gmail.com. We would love to feature your story. And again, you don't have to be a youth pastor for this. You could be a volunteer.
Yeah.
You could be someone who took some kids to camp, chaperone. You could be someone in youth group. And if you had something crazy going on and you thought it was funny, you can send it in too. We'd love to feature it on the show. We have a plethora and quite the wide variation of people sending in stories. So we love to hear the stories, and apparently other people do too. So
and we know the crazy ones are out there.
Yeah.
Send them those crazy stories. Let's go.
Every week I'm like, you know what? Something, you can't beat that story. And then someone out of nowhere comes and beats the story. So this is emailed in from Jason H. He said, here's what led to my worst parent meeting ever. It was my first youth pastorate, and I had grown close to one of the more faithful youth in the youth group. He would always help me anytime work needed to be done, and also help me lead worship on Wednesdays. So basically, this is not the kid you would think would be getting into trouble, and I would never suspect anything major issues-wise when it comes to discipline. Then there was this one year at camp I got pulled aside by the camp speaker because one of the girls had confided in him that she had been sneaking into my office after youth group dismissal and having sex with this kid. So apparently they weren't dating, and to my knowledge, they didn't even like each other. But, you know, teenage hormones got in there and replaced reason, apparently. So at first I was shocked and in disbelief, but I knew I had to take her up on her word and basically asked the kid about it. And he denied it for a little while and then finally was able to confess. The worst part was calling the pastor and the parents of both children and informing them all, obviously. Basically, what turns out is they were casually unlocking my office window from the outside, which sat low to the ground. And then after youth group dismissal, they would sneak outside when they thought the parents, weren't watching. They would sneak in, do their thing, and then lock up on their way out like they had never been in there. And to make matters worse, it was the pastor's grandson.
Bro, tell me why that doesn't shock me, though.
Why does that not shock you?
That does not shock me. And you know what? That is actually extremely bold. That's crazy that they would even do something like that.
In the pastor's office. Yeah. Oh, my goodness.
Talk about kids will find a way.
Yeah, kids will always find a way, apparently. And the funny part is, like, they actually didn't get caught. The girl just, like...
confessed. It's that conviction.
Literally, it hit
those
hard.
Pastor's prayers are working. Yeah.
The kid's probably just like, girl, like, you had conviction. Apparently I didn't. What do you do, rat me in like this? You could have just left it nameless.
That is terrible, man.
Evan S. emailed in. He said, here's something I witnessed years ago as a youth ministry volunteer. One of our favorite games to play on retreat is called Pudding Pants. Participants line up, they pull a dollar store nylon stocking over their head, and then they attempt to eat chocolate pudding straight from a plastic cup through the stocking. Now, whoever finishes their cup first wins. After one particular competition, participants headed down to the bathroom to wash their faces, and one high school student decided to wash his mouth by sticking his head under the faucet, face up. But he left the nylon stocking over his head. Basically, he gagged himself and pretty much waterboarded himself, and now he just tells all the teens how he waterboarded himself at youth group.
Wow. How old was this kid?
I'm guessing, I'm going to fill in the blanks. I'm guessing he was 15. And did it on purpose.
Yeah, 100%. Just waterboarding himself, yeah.
Have you ever done that?
I actually haven't, no. But I've seen it on clips, and it's it looks intense. I wouldn't want that done.
I feel like, obviously it's intense, but I always kind of think like, that doesn't look like that bad.
Dude, you're going to go down a rabbit hole. You ever... All right, so this is a little bit off topic. I'm sorry.
No,
but listen,
good.
so do you ever think, like, if you watch, like, a car crash in a movie and you just see, like, the passengers get rocked, I'm always like, I would survive that, though. I don't know what it is about our brains, but it's like, yeah, I could definitely survive waterboarding.
You guys are soft for dying in that car crash.
You're just flying through the front windshield? Wow.
Wow, you're weak, bro. You didn't survive that.
Yeah, bad.
No, my brother, however, said he has waterboarded himself in the shower with a rag just for the sake of doing it.
Yeah.
So maybe I'll have to try that. But
did he say it was no joke?
What's that?
Did he was he?
No, he was just like, yeah, I've tried that. It was Ben.
Oh, okay, yeah. It would be Ben. I was thinking Elijah, but it makes more sense.
No, Elijah would never do that. Elijah would be too scared. David H said, it's always the pastor's kids. Yeah, he's referring back to the other story. Yep. Yeah. It always is.
Yep, always is.
This is a story emailed in from Kara B. The year after finishing my freshman year of college, I was allowed to go to youth camp as a sponsor. I was barely 19 years old. Now, we had 2 charter buses, one with high school kids and the other with junior kids. And I was put in charge of the 40 kids on the high school bus, as all the other leaders were on the junior bus. Now, the youth minister was driving a supply van and was not stopping for lunch, but we stopped for lunch, and being a freshman in college, I didn't think anything about counting numbers. So we get off and I tell everyone to be back on the bus by 12:45. Okay, 12:45 rolls around and I just assume everyone is back on the bus. So I tell the driver we're ready to go. He pulls out and we get to the highway entrance ramp and I realize we're missing 3 high schoolers.
Oh my gosh.
I calmly ask the driver to pull over so we can go back and get the kids. The driver says to me, once the bus starts, we don't stop for anyone. I'm not stopping this bus.
No way.
After pleading with what seemed an eternity with him, he finally decides to pull over on the entrance ramp of the highway. And then we see these kids who we left behind sprinting down the road to catch up with the bus. Somehow the youth pastor was very calm about the situation once we arrived back at the church, but I'm still pretty traumatized to this day.
Yeah, always take attendance.
Always take attendance. Dude, I feel like that's a given, but maybe
kids
not.
Are hard to shepherd. They're running around everywhere, but they're trying to get freedom. That's all they want to do. You got to shepherd them up, man.
Yes, they are looking to not get back on that bus.
100%.
A lot of them are not wanting to get back on the bus. So.
But they were sprinting, so they were sprinting towards the bus.
Yeah. Debbie D emailed in and said, we had a Christmas party and the object was to bring a gift that no one would want. One of the teens brought a Tupperware container of dog poop. The person that ended up getting the gift was one of the uppity girls in the group, and her mom was mortified as she was and made a huge deal about it. Thankfully, the youth pastor was able to smooth it over with the girl's smile.
Was this real dog poop?
Oh, yeah. This kid understood the assignment.
I like that.
The assignment was bring a gift that no one would want.
Yeah. Dude,
the kid's like, okay, bet.
I like how they put it. It was the uppity. Was it the girl?
Yeah, it was the girl that got it.
Group. That's the best. Just imagine her reaction too when she opens that.
And then the mom, even worse.
It's like, oh, you smell. This is just a dog poop. Oh my gosh, like a gift bag.
Yeah, this is called taking the game a little bit too literally, apparently.
That's awesome. That kid wins.
All right, here's some youth ministry fails. These are funny. I love this segment. Christopher C said, one of my biggest youth ministry fails was when I cut my hand pretty bad during an object lesson involving breaking a mirror. The kids saw the blood and I totally lost the room. There was no way to bring it back.
Keep that sermon rolling, baby. How do you?
Dude, at some point, the chaos. I mean, from other stories you've heard, like, how do you rein in the room? Yeah. It's just like, all right, time for small groups.
Right. I guess it depends on like how bad it is. Can you cover that up or?
No, they saw it.
Oh my gosh.
They I mean, that sounds like a decent amount of blood. You cut your hand on a mirror. He said the kids saw the blood. I lost the room because once you lose the room. It's
kind of over.
Yeah.
My mentality is just like trying to play it off, but I don't know how you would. You're just gushing blood.
This is fake blood, guys.
Yeah.
Christopher C also said, one of my biggest youth ministry fails was when I borrowed a bus from another church and didn't know it was too tall to go under the church's overhang. I ripped the emergency hatch off the bus and scratched the whole top of it before I even got it out of their parking lot.
Oh no.
Really expensive fix, but the church still let me borrow the bus. Amazing and embarrassing.
Yeah. I just put yourself in his shoes. As soon as that happens.
That sucks, man.
That's the worst day. That's the worst day. You're that guy.
You haven't even left for the trip yet in this app. Let's see here. Shoshana C said, my biggest youth ministry fail was my first year at camp. There were food shortages with enough food for the kids, but not the workers. Then cue the lice outbreak, where I had to send half the kids home saying they can come back after treatment. And then I was cornered by a grandparent who said I was the reason that people didn't come to church because I treated them like lepers. Basically, the kids that had lice she sent home, and the grandparent was like, how could you treat them like that?
Gotcha.
The kids didn't think like that, is what she said. I sent 2 of my counselors with the bedding of the rest of the campers to the laundromat just in case.
Yeah.
And then I got a call an hour later saying they burned the laundromat up along with the kids' bedding.
Oh my gosh.
The laundromat burned down with the bedding? That's wild.
Yeah.
I got the kids together and said it was a wrap, and they begged not to leave, which I didn't understand because I wanted my mom at that point. I had to call the parents and tell them everything. The kids didn't want to leave, so we ended up staying 2 more nights. But that sounds like the camp trip from hell.
Yeah, it does.
That's horrible.
Yeah. Not to get political right now, but they treat lice like Rona. It's like the worst.
Have you ever had? I never been around it.
No, but my sister has.
Okay, and my mom goes, you have to treat it like that.
Yeah, because it will spread.
So it's like nasty, right?
Yeah.
And then 2, like girls especially, you either have to sit there for hours picking out the eggs and the lice.
Yeah.
Or you have to shave your head. Like a dude, buzz cut, doesn't matter. Yeah. But at the camp I grew up at, it wasn't even a lice outbreak.
Yeah.
This is like how things spiral out of control. And this is why we ended up not having phones that kids have at camp, because like go through the process of contacting parents so things don't get blown out of proportion.
Yeah.
Anyway, basically one kid said they saw lice jump on a bed, and then all the girls started freaking out saying there was a lice outbreak.
Yeah.
And then one girl had hid her phone, called her mom, and she wasn't supposed to have her phone, called her mom. And then the mom came and picked up, who told all the girls' parents at that church that there was a lice outbreak. And then those people are picking up their kids. And my parents, who were the camp directors, didn't know why parents were showing up because there was no lice.
Yeah.
And they're just, we're taking their kids and like had no idea. Parents are like packing up their kids, leaving in the middle of the week of camp because one kid ended up like lying about lice and there was actually no lice outbreak. It just blew out of proportion.
That is insane, dude.
Yeah, absolutely wild.
Well, it's like, so what's the other? So you can treat it, or you just have to shave a girl's whole head off.
Yeah. So you're not going to really shave a girl's head, but what it is like you can treat it, but it takes like forever. So you have to put like I think you have to put a bunch of stuff in your hair, and then you have to spend hours with like a legit fine tooth comb.
Wow.
Going through every strand of hair, getting the eggs or any lice that's in the hair because it can take over. And it jumps from head to head. It's insane.
I was going to say, imagine walking to a classroom, just a bunch of bald girls.
Yeah.
Hey, rock the baldy. It's all good, you know?
Out of nowhere. Oh my goodness.
Lice.
Robert L. said, my biggest youth ministry fail was early in my youth pastor days when I had my youth staff eat a live goldfish for a fundraiser.
Sweet.
Well, there was some leftover goldfish after the service, and a teen was dared to eat some of them without us knowing. And she ate a couple of them, and for the next 15 minutes, she was throwing up in a garbage can while all the other students stood around her mortified, saying, we didn't think she was going to do it.
Yeah. No, something tells me she's done this before.
I don't know, because apparently she didn't like the taste of them.
But a couple? Why did she go for a couple?
Peer pressure?
Okay. Jeez. Wow. That actually reminds me. Like, I had a kid one time on my baseball team, and we just like dared him to eat a worm, and this dude just picked up like a long worm and just swallowed it. My mind was blown.
Have you ever eaten a worm?
Never.
They're not bad.
You have?
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, dude. I grew up in the country, bro.
Actually, you know, it's funny.
I feel like everyone in my family has eaten a worm.
I saw Ben on video actually eat a worm. So yeah. Yeah,
that's
nothing.
Ben, my brother, has eaten ants because Man vs. Wild did it. He's eaten, worms because Man vs. Wild did it. If it was on that show, he would do it.
That's dope.
CJZ said, I said the nickname for Richard while trying to say dig deep in a youth group message last week. The students did not miss it.
Richard.
Do you know what the nickname for Richard is?
Yes.
So he said,
can I say it?
Richard Deep.
Okay.
During the message.
Gotcha. Okay.
Instead of dig deep.
That's all the kids were going crazy after that.
Yeah,
100%.
you know they heard it, and that is another example of losing the room.
Yeah, and it's always going to live with you too. Pastor said this. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Can you believe what Pastor said from the stage? Brandon D said, my biggest youth ministry fail was during our first lock-in. We end up with 25 students when I expected only 7 or 8. So we go outside to play a game, and I have one of the people helping me go get something from our gym, and I gave them my keys so they could do this earlier, right? So we go on playing the game outside, and once I'm done, I look for my keys to go back in, and I ask this person, hey, where are my keys? Well, they had left the keys inside, and they never actually handed them back to me, and they set them down somewhere. So it's now 12:30 a.m. because it's a lock-in, and I have 25 students locked out of the church outside with me. But thankfully, the same person who used my keys had their keys and were able to then drive to their house to get their father's church key, who was one of our board members, and that saved the night.
Wow. Hey, problem solved.
Barely.
Yeah. The dad's like, what's up with your youth pastor right now?
No, that's an example of saving the life that you just endangered.
Yeah.
Because that was the same guy that locked the keys inside.
But yeah, you got to make up for it though. And he did, so.
Isaiah is on TikTok. He said, what's up, guys?
Zay.
Let's see here. Yorez535 said, this podcast is the highlight of my week. Keep it up, guys. That's awesome. Jay Morales said, love this. Glad you guys are listening. David H said, he said, my friend Garrett at a party ate a live stink bug, but he got $20 out of it.
Let's go. See,
there you go. That's nasty, actually.
Make some money, dude. Stink bug, that's
gross.
Dude, that's a little that's extreme, but hey, make your money.
If you're on TikTok live and you have some stories you'd like to submit to this show, definitely send them in. ygchronicles@gmail.com. Isaiah said, nah, he ain't eating that.
Yeah.
I don't blame you, bro. I don't blame you.
Facts.
Let's see here. This is a short story. It's one sentence, but it's still good. Brian M said, my biggest youth ministry fail is that one time I left a student at summer camp.
Left him at summer camp.
Yeah. Like he left with all the kids.
Yes.
I wonder how far he got down the road.
That was my first. How far was this?
Hours? So here's the thing that I like to do. If people don't send context, I add the context.
Yeah.
Worst case scenario. So this guy, he ended up leaving the kid at camp, and they were 3 hours
different
from the camp.
State, bro.
Yeah, different state. They got back to the church. They were home that night in bed, and the parent called and said, hey, when are you getting home? That's probably what happened.
Yeah, for
That's
sure.
Worst case scenario.
Kid had to sleep over.
If you don't add context, I have to do it for you.
By himself. Yeah, terrified, crying.
Literally.
Yeah.
AJG said, my biggest youth ministry fail was when I had just moved from the Philippines to the U.S. and knew nothing about American humor. I played drums for our older folks Sunday service and our youth service one Sunday while wearing a, quote, that's what she said shirt. It was a very interesting Sunday for me and very eye-opening for sure.
Dude, poor guy. That's terrible.
I understand American humor, and
yes.
I would have worn the shirt.
Yeah. Dude, I've thought about that. Like, imagine going to another country and you
not
just
knowing
have
what the
no
office
idea.
is.
You can't speak their language.
Literally.
And then, like, everything's over their head or your head. It's like...
I mean, if you have never seen The Office or you don't understand the context of that... Yeah, great show. The context of that shirt, I can totally see it. I want to know who it... Was it the older person's... service that noticed, or was it the youth service?
If so, they didn't know Michael Scott. That's all.
Literally,
if they did, it would have passed. It's not you, man. If you're watching, it's not you.
Yes, AJ, I would recommend just watching the show because it's really
and continue
good.
to wear the shirt.
Yes, keep wearing the shirt. Great shirt.
Fire shirt.
Just maybe not on a Sunday morning.
Yeah.
All right, one more story here. Oh gosh. Okay. My biggest youth ministry fail was when I renamed our youth ministry Ground Zero at the end of August 2001. Full logos on the wall, banners up in front of the church, t-shirts, stickers, everything.
Yeah.
He said, yes, this was just 2 to 3 weeks before 9/11. Bro, he spent so much money on that.
Yeah.
And it all had to go in the garbage.
Yeah.
You cannot leave that up.
Ground
There's
zero.
no way you can leave that up.
You gotta instantly change up some marketing plans. It's not gonna slide. The first thing I thought of though when you said was it Ground Zero, that sounds too much like a nightclub, my man. Ground Zero nightclub. Yeah, I don't know.
That would be Grind Zero.
Grind Zero. Yeah, that's great.
David is on TikTok Live. He's like, bruh. Oh, that sucks. Because they promote this for so long. And you can just see it all up over the church.
Yeah.
And then it has to go
Tragic
down.
event.
You can't leave it up. There's no way you can leave it up.
No way.
David says that has to be the worst coincidence I've ever heard.
Yeah.
I have not heard a worse coincidence than that on the show. That
I'm
is
gonna say
absolutely
too bad for the name, but
Hey, well, you can easily switch the name. But to go out, he said full logos on the wall, banners out in front of the church, t-shirts, stickers. I mean, that's $2-3 worth of stuff at least.
Yeah.
That sucks.
Yeah.
Well, awesome, bro. This was a lot of fun. For those who are listening to the show, we're chopping up content every single day on there. So if you want to see the highlights of this episode or even future episodes before they're out, we're popping some videos out on there. Definitely go check them out. And then on top of that, we're also posting videos to our Instagram if you like that as well, YG Chronicles. So definitely go check those out. And the last thing, if you have stories that you want to share on this show, 100%. Submit those to us, ygchronicles@gmail.com. You know, we'd love to hear your stories. Thanks for listening.
The crazier, the better.
Oh, yeah. The crazier, the better.
That's great.